If there is a person with invisible needs, in most of the cases, it is not apparent. They need someone to speak for them, and a lawyer is well placed to advocate for them.
Okay, y'all warm up first,
Many people are going to laugh at me. I am a taekwondo brown belter. I want to go on to get my grading for black. The body is different. I'm no longer as pliable, as flexible as I used to be, not even as strong as I used to be. But I will do it. The discipline and the rigors of taekwondo training has very good parallels with what I do in my work. Practice the stance, practice the strokes, practice the movements until it becomes muscle memory. That takes focus.
Pull. Okay, then I got this leg.
But after training, after the sparring, the opponent that I just sparred with is to be respected.
Oh, yeah, correct.
I'm Peggy Yee. I'm a lawyer in private practice. Everyone deserves access to justice. And it should not matter if you don't know a lawyer, if you don't have the funds, or if you cannot speak English properly. You should still be able to go to a lawyer or to get the legal help that you need. I move it one step further. Persons with invisible needs, which covers special needs, mental illnesses, and intellectual disability, just to name a few, they are generally not able to articulate themselves well and properly, sufficiently. So because of that, they need someone to advocate for them, to speak for them. A lawyer is well placed within the legal system to advocate for them. For every incident/offense that happens, there is a victim. So I am not advocating or saying for one moment that just because the offender has special needs or a mental illness, that's a free pass to go and therefore you can go on a crime spree. No, I'm saying that when there's an offender with conditions like that, how then do we manage the whole situation? Because you have to think about the victim as well and the offender. Hello. You Ivan?
Yeah, I'm Ivan.
Hi Ivan. Peggy Yee. Ivan is a leukemia survivor, and his father, as it stands right now, is battling brain cancer. He is in his final year in a polytechnic where they send him out for internships. Under the contract, both of you have your own legal rights. And let us just assume for the time being that their termination of your internship is valid, because I have not seen the contract yet as of now. He was manifesting in a way that was creating him extreme stress and anxiety to the extent that his friend, and he's only got one friend, but actually that's all that you need, at least one. So that friend noticed it and highlighted it to ARC Children's Center, and that's how they connected with me. He is that type of person who will be content to let anything bad that happens to him or anything that is not legally right, he will just take it on anyway. But these are the persons who need help and need a voice to speak up for them when they can't.
She understands my issues and is willing to fully resolve the issue so that I have an ease of mind. It is important for me to finish my internship because it will allow me to be able to be graduated from my poly, and also in the future I'll be able to work in the industry.
I will take up the matter with the school, all right? And if need be, I will then also take it up with the company itself. Don't worry about it. I know you're very stressed. Leave it in my hands, all right?
Okay.
Peggy has a passion to help persons with special needs. And you do need a certain heart to do it as well too, because it can be quite challenging. Sometimes it can be quite intimidating as well. I think even her love for this group, she's very effective in terms of being able to work with the person who needs the help, work with the family, work with the social workers as well. She's the go-to person for us when we have more complex cases involving special needs.
From the earliest days that I can remember in primary school, in a Catholic school like Canossa Convent, the teachers who were empathetic. I was not the smartest, I was not the cleanest, I was grubby, I was not the prettiest, I didn't have new uniforms, but they were kind to me. The nuns were especially kind. You know, whenever there was a problem, there would be tears. There the nuns would be non-judgmental, and that's why now they still are a big part of my life. And yes, they definitely shaped me to being what I am today.
I taught her science, biology specifically, for the O-levels, as well as values education. She's quite an ideal student to teach.
Sister, look at this.
This is the desk.
No, this is typical. You know why? In class, every time talking to her.
She comes from a very poor background, so poor that the sisters who got to know the family offered a job to her mother here in the convent. She must have known that the way out of poverty cycle is education.
My shoes are never new shoes, so I would have hand-me-downs, and these shoes have holes in them. But the whole day I would stay in those shoes. Every time I come back, I feel this deep sense of gratitude. It's just a very deep feeling because I know I started here. I had this girlfriend, this classmate who was from Indonesia and very wealthy. So she was driven to school in a dark blue Mercedes. At that time, I had told myself, you know, I think I would have made it if I can drive a dark blue Mercedes like that.
So Peggy would come to the school several times a year for board meetings. And she would park her car. And there was one interesting occasion when a little girl came up to her and said, "Wow, you have a blue Mercedes." And she smiled at the child, and she took the opportunity to share with her, I was not always so fortunate. I was poor, but I worked very hard, and I worked my way up, and that's where I am now. And she really inspired that child. She says, I'm here to serve the school, you know. I'm a lawyer, and I help to serve. She's a role model of a Canossian student, alumna. And she's like our heroine, the founders of the Canossian Sisters, St. Magdalene of Canossa. Though a noble lady, left everything to serve the poor, So she must have absorbed those lessons and became that kind of a person.
When I go back to school as a board member, and should I be able to interact with school children, I will always try to stop and talk to them, because there they'll be bowing. But I want them to know that we're nothing special. I was just like you. The world is your oyster, so it's up to you to go and get it.
Bedrooms.
Yes, I'll take it.
You pay 500, you get another 1,000.
Automatically appropriate.
What did you?
It's got jail.
Ever since she was young, she's been taking care of us, she's been championing her causes, and she's been working a full-time job in a law degree. I think you'll find it really hard to find someone who can handle at least 2 of these at the same time, let alone 3.
I'd like to come out.
3,000.
If you need her, she's there. If she's tired, she's there. If she's burnt out, she's there. Mom has never, ever failed to show up for us when it's the most important.
Great. Any day.
I get all that.
Anytime today.
But that's
There.
good.
I know for a fact that all 3 of us weren't exactly the most well-behaved children, and she still has a high-stress job as well.
Don't forget what I taught you. Don't forget what I taught you.
It wasn't easy, but she still managed to push through, keep on going despite whatever people said to her or whatever complaints we had as children. But at the end of the day, her mental strength really tied together all these traits to help her become the person she is.
I still remember that morning. It was a very quiet morning. I couldn't believe it, really. I thought that she was making a very poor taste joke. I just couldn't imagine that someone whom I've always seen is very strong, very unstoppable, could come down with such a serious illness, and I really didn't know what to think at the time.
Well, when Mom sat us down and she said, I have something to tell you guys, I remember Joel was so little then. And at the end of the conversation, I remember him just being in my arms and crying and saying, is Mom going to die?
There was a definite presence of sadness or anger, but I wasn't sure who's to be angry at. Whether it was Mom, who was working so much that she got into the state in the first place.
I didn't know I had cancer. How could I have cancer? I'm the healthiest, fittest person running 4 times a week. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't even drink coffee or tea. And I didn't take red meat. But in one routine checkup, the scans showed that there was a cancerous mass. And then things happened very quickly after that. I had to have surgery within a week. There was no time to bask in pity. I just did what I was told to do, get it removed, and then start chemotherapy. It was not an easy time. It was a very difficult part of my life. Because of the chemotherapy, my hair fell out. And it fell out to the extent it was falling out in clumps. So I had to shave it. The same day that I shaved it, my husband went out and he came back looking like Yul Brynner. I had no words, wordsmith that I thought I was. I had no words.
I think shaving my head to support her during chemotherapy, she was already losing her hair, was the least I can do. It's natural that I wanted to support her. I felt very helpless. I couldn't do anything other than be there to support her and also to be strong for the kids. I found myself wondering why it happened to someone like her, someone who's always doing good for others.
Before the cancer, I used to run 3 times a week minimum. After the cancer, because of the drugs I'm taking and the way my body has become, I can no longer run like I used to. Plus, the body can't take it anymore. Running was essential to me because when you run and cry, sweat mixed with tears, no one can see me crying. So, at my lowest points before the surgery, put in more runs so that I can cry out of the house. Cancer will not stop me. I refuse to let cancer stop what I'm doing. I refuse to give it that credit. I just wanted to check with you. I'm reading the emails from Miss So.
It is quite commendable that even though she was going through cancer and treatment, she was still with the firm at every step of the way because there is this sense of responsibility she had over us. At the end of the day, when everything got better, you know, we all celebrate together.
WhatsApp chats, right? This part.
Sometimes we don't exactly agree on the matters that she takes on because it does take a toll on her. It does take a toll on the firm as well. At the end of the day, the law firm is a business. We still have to make sure that we collect fees. We can't be doing pro bono work all the time. But knowing that we have touched people's lives, we've made a difference just by what we do with our skill set, I think that makes it far more rewarding than any type of other legal work.
Since our last meeting, just updates, okay? As you know, our guest of honor will be Second Min of Law, Edwin Tong. And I ran into our ex-president, Madam Halima. She's coming.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think we were going to build on that because if there is a person who is afflicted with, say, autism, ASD, or ADHD, or has a mental illness, or has an intellectual disability, in most of the cases, it is not apparent. So there is no sign on their forehead that says, I have this condition. But that person is debilitated by that condition. They have no one to advocate for them. And when they offend or when they are a victim, their cases are very unglamorous and not sexy at all. Okay, then subject to how our program is going to pan. And the idea is to have every single one of these stakeholders represented, come together and to speak about what their challenges are and what their best practices are, because when everyone comes together, we can have a more composite picture instead of possibly working in silos.
One area that we'd like to see more development is to have a fair outcome for a particular trial case. You balance what the victim has gone through as well as what may be fair punishment if you actually committed the offense as well. But for the court to come to that decision, it has to have all the factors in place. So especially for special needs or invisible disabilities, what may be a fair sentencing option is not always incarceration. It could be a case where it's probation, for example, as well.
Hi, Ivan. How have you been?
I have been fine.
What has been the development over on your end?
The school have given me in-house internship instead, so that my grades would not be affected.
What about payment? Have you received any payment?
Yes, I have been paid a sum of money by the company. Also, I'll be able to graduate on time.
I am especially gratified that Ivan has received this outcome because I really feel for him. He has bounced back from leukemia, which affected him quite badly. And even as he is recovering, at home, his family members are afflicted as well. And now that he has told us that he will be getting a fresh internship and also that he will be paid for the time that he worked at that previous place, we have achieved what we set out to do. I don't think that the things that I do are extraordinary at all. I think anyone can do it once you put your mind to it. It is about making use of our talents and looking at what's ahead of you. If I can do something that will help the person in front of me move his life a little in a better direction or achieve a better outcome, then let's do it.
Just when I was wondering who would turn the gray sky